Hello and welcome to a new video on the channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about Assassin's Creed Origins and how it did the impossible for the franchise. It was the first game to have a year gap in between anyway. Came out 2 years after Syndicate in 2017, and honestly this game was highly anticipated for the Assassin's Creed genre as it was going to a time and setting that everyone cared about within the Assassin's Creed community, but also telling us a unique story that we haven't actually got in any other Assassin's Creed game about the origins of the Assassins, hence the name. This game came out in a time for Assassin's Creed that was really a make or break for the entire franchise. The last two games prior were AC Syndicate, which was a game that really was not received well by anyone, including the Assassin's Creed community as a whole, and then Unity was the one that came out before that, which overall received massively poor ratings, primarily because of its opening release and the terrible bugs that came out with it. This game was chosen specifically to be the first new-gen Assassin's Creed game. Odyssey was obviously the game they had in mind when making Origins, but honestly, Origins was definitely the Assassin's Creed title that the fans wanted and appealed to the broader community as well. This game was enough of an Assassin's Creed game and enough of a great game generally to encapsulate the mass audience and die-hard fans alike. So why the RPG open world genre? Well, to be honest, this game is more of just an open world game, just on a bigger scale than they've ever done previously, as there isn't really too much role-playing that you can do in this game that changes the storyline at all. So really the question is why open world to the mass degree that they decided to go down? Well, firstly, the open world games that we've got today are on average just massive sandboxes. That's pretty much the definition of open world anyway, and that is what we've got with the Assassin's Creed games. Ubisoft have already been shown that they're amazing at creating worlds and cities that just feel alive and immerse you into the world, so this was really an easy step for them to make. But fundamentally, the reason that Ubisoft went with an open world RPG is because the game of the decade, and honestly at this rate the game of the early 2000s, is The Witcher 3. When The Witcher 3 came out, within the first year everyone came to accept that this game was amazing, and it was truly amazing. It's now sold more than 30 million copies, and 2020 is now the second largest best-selling year for this game. Origins, however, only sold 10 million copies, which really isn't actually that bad for an Assassin's Creed title. Now Origins also proved to Ubisoft something that EA got proved to with Fallen Order, which was if you make just a good game in general, it will sell well. And honestly, one of the things that they did fundamentally wrong in the games that came after Origins was instead of encapsulating the whole Assassin's Creed fanbase along with the average player, they decided to solely focus on the average player instead. So a lot of the new games, for example Odyssey and Valhalla, and we'll probably see if whatever comes next, will just basically say, you know what, the people who love Assassin's Creed for the lore, everything like that, just don't worry, you won't really be cared about here. There's some little bits of reference to it, but overall you're not going to get what you want. So Origins was definitely the starting point for them to turn around and say, you know what, we're going to care about the fans, we're going to care about everyone and try and get a game that gets everyone involved. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is one of those things though that's quite sad for the actual Assassin's Creed franchise, primarily because what they did was they encapsulated the full audience before the game came out. It's the second largest property of their entire release ever. They sold the most copies out of any game, with Valhalla, well, second most. And honestly, it's kind of sad because the only way they did this was, one, they lied to a mass amount of the Assassin's Creed fanbase, with many creators out there giving this game a 10 out of 10, if not almost a 10 out of 10 before the game came out, because they were shown very little amount of stuff when they got access to play the game. But also the trailers and that sort of thing also got the general players involved, so people who just like Viking England and want to run around as a Viking probably enjoyed the game a lot, but people who wanted more of an Assassin's Creed game built into that as well were very much let down. All of this though was done to mask Valhalla's lack of Assassin's Creed story, which Origins did very well. Origins is an open world RPG Assassin's Creed game that hit the mark for almost everything. I would say that Odyssey has a better skill system, but besides that, I honestly overall prefer Origins as an Assassin's Creed title anyway. Assassin's Creed lives and dies by its true fan base, really, and you've seen that with the critics online. Origins is a great example of this. They had to take a year off and reevaluate what they were doing before they brought out a new Assassin's Creed game, as the previous two titles, even though one of them was very Assassin's Creed and Syndicate was also very Assassin's Creed, it was not what the fanbase wanted because they were moving too differently in the franchise. How much of a big change will we see though with the next Assassin's Creed title? I hope we see a lot. Honestly, from what the rumors have said, there will probably be like one big open world game again, open world RPG, and there's rumors that they're going to do more stealth version of Assassin's Creed with BASM instead, so that would be interesting to see what they do with that. I'd be very happy if they did decide to do that, but overall, I don't have high hopes for what the next game will be. I'll probably buy it no matter what, because I'm interested in Assassin's Creed and just seeing what they do with it. But yeah, hopefully we get a game that reminds us of what we used to play. Now, with that all being said, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and do subscribe to see more content like this in the future. I upload one gaming critique a month, and as well as that, I upload these sorts of videos every single Friday, which is gaming related, and I upload whatever I want on Wednesdays. So yeah, with that all being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.